It is Black Friday, South Africa's biggest shopping day, but there's a warning. Over 10 million South Africans are over-indebted and 36% have 3 to 5 credit accounts, all in arrears. So the National Credit Regulator says millions are already struggling to pay, and overspending on a day like today could lead to a Black January of financial trouble. Alfred Matsimbi is from the NCR and joins us now to share what you need to know before you head out today. Alfred, good morning. Welcome to the program. Thank you very much for your time. I know we're just going to have a phone conversation because we're struggling with your video just a little bit. We've already set the scene for just how many South Africans are indebted. There is the temptation today to get things that people want and even need at a cost, a price and a discount, which is why people do that. So what are your thoughts on how they should approach today?
It is very important for consumers to exercise some restraint. Why I'm saying this is because many of us will be tempted to spend far more than what we have budgeted for. So we're strongly encouraging everybody to buy what they have budgeted for. Make it also take care of your needs above everything. So the must-have list is important to be prioritized as people are going for shopping today.
All right, so make a list, make sure you've got the budget to meet that list, and then stick to it. The problem is, the human emotion gets in the way, Alfred. So what do you say to people who think, you know what, I'm just going to get this other thing. Let me just get this other thing while I'm here. What is the risk of going off the plan?
Imani, I just missed the question there.
What's the risk of people not sticking to a plan?
Look, if people just buy without sticking to a plan, chances are they will end up being over-indebted. The expenses that they're going to be incurring today and up until the festivities will be waiting for them in January. And some of us will end up even be losing the very same items that we bought, because January credit providers, especially those who did not budget and did not save money for the Black Friday, they will end up being using credit providers to acquire those items. And after acquiring those items, some of them may end up even spending money like deposits, etc. But if you fail to service the debt, the credit providers have a right to come back to you and even repossess some of those things.
Yeah, and they get into a debt spiral. I want to share some numbers from the National Credit Regulator. The total value of new credit increasing by 6.49% quarter on quarter, and this is from 146.58 billion rand to 156.09 billion rand. And then you have also the number of credit agreements that people have entered into increasing by 5% quarter on quarter. And this is also sharing with you or exposing the risk of impulsive buying. When you see numbers like that, just share with our viewers some of the texture around what that means.
Look, you are 100% correct with those numbers. It is true that majority of people are spending, and some of them got tempted by the interest rates that went down, and they will end up buying again. So these numbers must be viewed cautiously. So look, there is 36.2% of consumers who have impaired credit records. And this 36.2%, the total there is 10.54 million consumers. Now, this number has remained constant over the period. While the figure may not have shown any improvement yet, we remain optimistic that reduction in interest rates will eventually lead to a better consumer performance. But the problem is, if consumers are not exercising some caution thereof, then they will end up being over-indebted again. So it's very important for whoever is going to celebrate and buy and entertain themselves. Setting a good budget is important. Buying things that just because they are on sale won't help, because marketers rely on FOMO, fear of missing out, to make you buy unnecessary items.
Yeah.
Some of those items will be saying 70% discount, and that's still a waste if you don't need the product. So make a must-have list before browsing or even going out to buy those things.
Yeah, I mean, we've touched on the psychological impact, you know, the crowds, the hype. You talked about the FOMO now, so that emotional involvement also contributes to people making impulsive decisions. But there's something else in the mix, Alfred, which is also risky for consumers, and it's this concept of buy now and pay later. Is it, you know, what are the risks associated with that? And, you know, it's not, and even the payment holidays, these retailers will never lose out. They're not about losing money. So there are some hidden costs in there. Just share with our viewers the risks associated with this buy now, pay later thing.
Look, those are hidden costs at the end of the day, because you buy now, you pay later, and then you did not work out a strong budget that will make you cope for the next coming 48 months, especially if you have signed a credit agreement. Let's remind credit consumers out there that the minute you sign a credit agreement and you're taking such items, the credit provider has a right to charge you initiation fee, interest rates, monthly service fee, credit life insurance, etc., etc. And all these charges then make credit to be abnormal for you. You may find yourself that actually you fooled yourself by falling for these promotions, because at the end of the day, you realize that life, the realities of life are now facing you, and you are not coping with the installment that you are supposed to pay. And unfortunately, once you are finding yourself in that, you get negatively listed or adversely listed. The credit providers will even use lawyers, and you will also be paying legal fees for failure to service your debt. So we strongly advise that consumers must really be sure that they prioritize their essentials over luxury or impulse items. And if possible, those consumers who have saved money, they must use cash over credit. You are right to say we have to be cautious of buy now, pay later. But also, consumers must compare prices, because not all specials are real discounts. So those who want to spend, they must set a spending limit to avoid impulsive transactions.
I'm going to put the poll up, Alfred, while I ask the final question, which is, what is your main spending strategy for Black Friday 2025? We've given our viewers some options: only pre-budgeted items, do a big splurge, small impulse buys, staying home. Like, which options are they going with? I'm quite pleased to tell you, Alfred, that the majority so far are choosing what seem to be the wiser option: staying home, 81%, and 10% saying only pre-budgeted items. So people are listening there. But okay, so the reality is people are over-indebted, and some people may be feeling overwhelmed. The National Credit Act does have support for those consumers. Just talk to us about debt counseling, Alfred.
Debt counseling is one of a debt relief measures that is in line with the National Credit Act number 34 of 2005. This debt relief measure, it's mainly intended to assist an over-indebted consumer to cope with his or her debts. So unfortunately, we have a serious problem where telemarketers advertise this debt relief measure wrongly. What they do is they end up putting consumers who are not even over-indebted into debt counseling. The problem about debt counseling is that once you have accepted to be placed under debt review, you no longer qualify to take new credit agreements. And that does not only include, it also includes your spouse, especially people who are married in community of property. Yeah. So we want to strongly advise consumers not to accept to be placed under debt review when if they are coping with their debts. This debt relief measure is not for people who are coping with, and it's not a saving scheme, because some
Yeah.
of these people who are advertising debt relief, they project it as if it's a saving scheme that you're gonna save. We'll save you on interest. We'll save you, blah blah. But at the end of the day, they put people under debt relief, this debt relief measure. So many people realize that, oh no, I'm under debt counseling,
Yeah.
because even the cheapest cell phone contract of 100 rand, you no longer qualify for it, because
Okay.
this debt counseling, it's like a rehabilitation process for a person who is not coping with their debts.
Alfred
So
Matsimbi, thank you for that, and thanks for explaining the risks involved there as well. But the NCR remains a resource for everyone who is in the South African economy, spending money, and there's a lot of guidance that they can provide there. So before you head out, just be careful. Black Friday, as Alfred Matsimbi is sharing with us, you've got to do a lot of thinking before you venture out there.